Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker has announced an immediate temporary ban on vaping products. The decision comes in the wake of vaping-related illnesses that have been reported recently across the country. Vaping has also become popular among teens, and Carolee McGrath sat down with Nikki Lewis, the program coordinator of the CARE Coalition of West Springfield, to learn more about the trend and the risks.
So what we're seeing at the high school is similar to what's being reported on a state level in Massachusetts as well as on a national level. We do a student survey every 2 years that gives us information about student health behaviors. That's everything from, connection to parents and peers and teachers and things that are going really well for students, as well as we ask questions about substance use and what that might look like. So that survey is done with 8th, 10th, and 12th graders, and that'll follow them every other year. And we found that about 20% of students are telling us that they've vaped in the last 30 days, and we use that 30-day use as an estimate for current use.
So is that, has that number gone up in the last few years,
Over the past few years, yes, we've seen it go up.
So as smoking has gone down, right, the traditional smoking, vaping has gone up.
Right.
It's very easy to conceal. And what I'm hearing is that kids are doing this, brazenly right in school. How are they pulling this off?
So that's a huge issue that we're finding, is that these vape devices are so easy to conceal. First of all, they're really small, so identification is an issue because...
So what do they look like, if you could describe it for us?
It definitely depends on the product. Right now they vary a lot with size and shape and color, but one of the most prominent products that everyone's probably heard about now is Juul, and that's really compared to a USB. It's a little longer than a USB, probably about the size of a pen, but it's flat and it has that sleek electronic device look to it, and it also charges right on your laptop to any USB port. So it's really easy, to hide just the appearance of it as well as the smoke. There are, tactics that can be used to, students blowing into their sweatshirt, or even some students hold in the smoke a little longer, or the vapor, and that way it'll dissipate so it's less easy to notice.
What are you hearing from the school resource officers in West Springfield?
Well, the location of use definitely varies. It's happening, before school, at home, as well as in the bathrooms we've heard a lot about, and in locker rooms. The school resource officers and the whole school administration is working extremely hard to make sure that we identify this and that students can be referred to a diversion program that'll help them learn about why it's so dangerous to vape and what some of the consequences are, as well as to try to connect them to resources to help them stop.
Okay, and it's not just nicotine that you can vape. It's also a marijuana product, right? THC. Yes. That also is happening in the high school. So when a resource officer comes across that, right, they have to test that device?
Exactly. So that's something that we're doing now in the schools, is that if a vape device is confiscated, the school resource officer can test to see if there's nicotine in the device or if there's a THC oil, and that'll change the next steps about whether it's treated as having drug paraphernalia if there's THC present, or into the diversion program if it's found to have nicotine in it.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, the national picture. The CDC says there are close to 400 lung illnesses related to vaping, and 6 deaths across the country, which they're still investigating. I mean, that is just a big number.
And I think one thing that was so scary for us is that, we saw these numbers starting to rise, but this was so new to everyone. Nobody knew what the consequences would be. Traditionally, e-cigarettes were used as a tactic to try to help someone stop using traditional combustible cigarettes. But then with the advent of flavors and all of these new styles and new versions of these products, it's really been targeting youth, and it's been a way that youth actually start using nicotine and tobacco products for the first time ever.
And I know the federal government is looking at a ban right now on the flavors in e-cigarette products.
Right.
Do you think that will help curb what you're seeing at the local level?
Yeah, I think reducing access by eliminating those flavors from the market could certainly, depending on how it all plays out, could certainly be beneficial. Because what we're seeing, the current research shows us that those flavors are really what appeals to youth, and it's one of the strongest, reasons that they start is because of those flavored tobacco products, and most of them report that the first vape product they ever used was a flavored product. So I think that reducing that access could be beneficial. However, I want to make sure now that we have so many students that are using these products that there are cessation programs in place so that if all of a sudden these products are no longer accessible, that these, youth and young adults who now have a nicotine addiction can have those programs to support them.
And how often are they doing this? Like, what is the habit like? I mean, is it every hour? I mean, how often are they pulling this out?
It depends on the person, just like how someone would smoke a cigarette. There are some people that'll go through a pack a day, just like there are some people that'll go through, a Juul pod a day. So it really depends on the person.
And what about middle school? Because I know that you track them in 8th and 10th, but are kids in 6th grade doing this?
We don't have the data to support that at this point. We do see in our 8th graders that, according to the survey, that about 1 in 20, I believe, have tried it. So it's something that we definitely want to get ahead of and start that education and providing those resources as early as 6th grade, if not sooner.
Okay, and how about parents? Because, I mean, there's so many different things that we have to talk to our kids about. I mean, social media, cell phones, and obviously this is one big component. How do you encourage parents to kind of, get in front of it and be aware of all the different products out there?
Right, yeah, it's certainly daunting with these news of the investigations coming out almost every day, it seems like, and these new cases of illness. It's so hard to keep track of. So I would say just staying informed and having those open conversations with your children is one of the most beneficial things you can do, just getting familiar with what these products look like and why they're so dangerous. There are a couple cessation programs I know of, and one of them, by the Truth Initiative, also has a specific program for parents who want to help their children, and it provides resources and information. Having those conversations with your kids. There's not going to be one right way or one strategy that's going to work perfectly for everyone, so having that conversation and figuring out, what tools are going to work best.
Do you find that, kids who start with a Juul will then, progress to something else? Is that a concern that you have, at your coalition, as I know you do other programming as well?
Absolutely. Anytime we see early substance use, and we're considering nicotine and THC certainly to be part of that, we are concerned about what it can lead to. The research shows that students that have vaped are 4 times more likely to then progress to traditional cigarettes, so that's certainly a concern. Nicotine use, we know, impacts brain development just like every other substance does in that vital, vulnerable time of adolescence.
And what are the consequences in school? If somebody's caught with a vaping device in school, what's the consequence?
Yeah, so right now the school has started a recent diversion program, so that'll lead to a 3-lunch session with the school resource officer where you go through some programs that has information about the consequences of use, how it impacts your brain development, why it's dangerous. That'll include some quizzes just to, test knowledge as you're going through that program. And then if it continues to be an issue, then the consequences will progress from there. So if this is a student who is continuously, vaping and keeps getting caught and these programs need to progress in some way, then suspension or another punitive method might be tied on to that.
But they really start with the education part of it, and
Absolutely.
hey, we're here to help,
Exactly.
to try to get a conversation going.
Exactly.
What are you hearing from school resource officers as far as what they're seeing at schools with the usage of the vaping?
Yeah, the reports we're seeing from school resource officers are that this is really happening at a number of places and a number of times. So it's something that students might be doing before they come into school, as well as, between classes or during classes if they go to the bathroom. We're hearing that it's used frequently in the bathrooms in the school locker rooms.
Before sports?
Yeah. Absolutely, that's something we're hearing, and that's something we're hearing from students as well, is that, especially students that have been doing this for a year or so now and have really developed, unfortunately, a nicotine dependence, is that, they'll vape whenever they have the chance to, and because these devices are so easy to conceal, it really opens the possibilities of where this can happen and how this can happen.